Chiefs got it done, and they're looking to do it again in Week 18, Game 17 against the Chargers. That's coming up later in the week. But we know you have questions about how they got here and where it stands now, because they looked a little bit different in this last ball game against the Bengals. How do they carry that forward into the playoffs? Welcome to RGR Football. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is RGR Football, where we talk Chiefs and NFL, and maybe while we're here, we'll talk a little college football, because you never know what's going to happen. But to Dan's dismay, Michigan, Alabama is still going on. So welcome in. Hope you guys are doing well. Nice to see you, Terry. This is going to be abbreviated live stream because we want to answer your questions, especially those who didn't get their answers last night. So throw them in the chat. Every super chat gets an answer, and we will answer as many other questions as we can. But we're not going to stick with it too long, because I'm definitely watching the second semifinal tonight, and we're going to try to knock that out. So how was your New Year's Day?
It was a good day. We had a good time up until about maybe an hour ago. Watching Michigan just continue to do what they do. But regardless, it's a good day. I was on the radio earlier today talking Chiefs football. Like, it feels good to come off of a win where they didn't just consistently pee down their leg. Like, they had a couple of gaffes. Yeah, they did. But I think that we saw some growth getting back to the simpler things. And that's really what I'm excited about. That's what I'm taking away from. And that's kind of what it feels like they've been should have been trying to do all along, and maybe listen to us a little bit more.
Yeah, agreed. Like, it feels like, hey, they found kind of some of the magic. It won't be all of it. They'll still have to make adjustments, but I think they found a way that they can have confidence and then go into this next ball game and really attack it as a preparation for the postseason. That's really what I'm most concerned about, is just trying to get it done, so that you're ready to go into combat when it actually counts. I'm perfectly fine personally if they start FAU and maybe they bring up BJ Thompson. You can start those guys. Let Justin Ross play the whole game. Let's see what he can do. There's no negative to losing this game against the Chargers except for a little bit of pride, and Justin Herbert ain't going to be there anyway. Austin Eckler is a ghost in his shoes at this point. I ain't too worried is basically what I'm saying.
And regardless, it doesn't matter if they lose this game. They can't move anywhere. It does not matter what they do. Yeah, it'd be nice to win a game at the end of the season, but they can, for all intents and purposes, use this as a bye week in some regards. Now, I'm putting Travis Kelce out there, and I'm going to say I'm getting you 16 yards. And I'm going to do that on the first drive of the football game, and then you're getting out. And I'm going to do a tunnel screen to him. I'm going to have him fake block, and then I'm going to have him run underneath the offensive line and catch a pass for 20 yards. And then I'm going to say, hey, buddy, go sit down. That's exactly what I'm doing. And say, hey, hats off to your 8,000th yards, 1,000th yard season, and you're done for the day. So that's what I'm doing with Travis Kelce. Everyone else at this point, bring up some players. Let's see what you got in Cornell Powell on a depleted defense. Just try some different things. Use it as an opportunity to get something out of maybe some players you're trying to get a look at. We saw Montrell Washington play a couple of snaps last week. Maybe get him out there in a slot role, see what he can do. Just mess around a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, I'm all for it. It can't hurt to find out what you have and what you're going to be able to pull from when and if you need to. So that's kind of where we're at. All holds are open. You can do whatever you want, whatever you guys feel the need. We're going to get into your questions right now, so make sure you get them in. Question marks before or super chats, we'll get those right now. Jackson starts us off. Is KT a very good route runner? And is he very good at finding soft spots and zones? Because we need someone other than Trav to do that. I would say he's a solid route runner. I wouldn't say he's extreme. And this season, he's been a little questionable at actually understanding what the zones are being thrown at him and how to take advantage of them. So I'd say that's work that he needs to do.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit better in that regard. Like, he's done a good job on the return routes, the whip routes, things like that, of creating space for himself. He's a good space creator because he is very quick in and out of his breaks, and he can snap off guys at the top of routes and things like that. But finding when you need to break open over the middle of the field, when you need to stop, or when you need to adjust your route based on the coverage, those are areas where he's still very much learning. And again, he's going to be on this team next year. It's going to be trying to figure out how he can grow in that regard and use him in different ways. You might just have to use him as a gimmick kind of receiver. It might be what you have to do.
Yeah, that may be what the card
as a receiver.
Yeah. Want to welcome everybody in. More folks are coming in here. I know it's New Year's Day. Happy New Year to all of you. Hope you had a great holiday and a pretty good Monday, and obviously some college ball on. So we're going to get through your questions, and hope that you guys are having a good one, because we all need to start 2024 off on the right foot.
Yeah.
Quinn, what would you do with MVS? Seems like he's completely gone from a confidence standpoint. Would like to see McCole run the vertical routes. What do you got, Dan?
So we all are done with MVS. Like, he's done. Like, he's not coming back this next year. He's not doing it. There's a 0% chance he'll be on this roster next year. I can tell you that for a fact right now. And he's not a player that has ever really brimmed with confidence. It's never been somebody that you say, yeah, that guy's going to go out there and he's going to make a play for you. My daughter is saying hi to everybody, because she loves it. What's up? Yeah, go ahead.
Which is funny because I'm looking at the stats as the play-by-play is going on with Michigan.
Very loud hi there for everybody. But for me, I'm not even letting him play another snap this year. Personally, I'm not doing it. Like, if it were my decision, I would not let him play another snap this year. I'd let him ride the bench, because
fair enough.
He's legitimately not doing anything.
We got young talent to see. I won't argue with you. Yeah. Terry, hope you're doing well. Can we get McKinnon and Cook back for the postseason? McKinnon will be available for the divisional round. He will not be available for the wild card because of the timing that he was put on it. So you can't have him the first game, but the second game, yes. Chiefs will be playing in a wild card. As I understand the seeding, they'll be hosting the wild card, so it will be in Arrowhead. Yes. So good bet. A lot of people questioning about Cook. I don't have a rosy feeling that he's going to materialize in the next week or two. I could be wrong. I'm hopeful, but I don't know that that's what's in the cards. If we get an update, we'll definitely let you guys know as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Ozzy, do you think that Donovan Smith starts if he's 100% healthy in the wild card round? Probably not.
I would say no at this point. Like, these are legitimately real snaps. You need to get Wanya Morris on the field. Like, he needs to develop and do stuff. So yeah, he needs to start being out there. He just needs the playing time. You have to kind of know what you have. And in big moments like this, you might find out a little bit more.
Yeah. Wanya needs to be the guy going forward. And if something happens, then obviously you have not only left tackle. I think honestly, Donovan can probably be the swing as well. I'd probably put him in right if Taylor were to get hurt. I would prefer to do that than switch Wanya back over and let Donovan go in at left myself.
I agree.
Andy Heck and Andy Reid might disagree with me. That's all right. Ozzy, Maddie from KCSN pointed out that MVS is lining all the receivers up almost every play, especially Rice. And that's why he thinks he gets so many snaps. How can nobody else know where to be at this point?
I'd like to know where he got that information from. That seems a little trying to make something out of what we have no idea of, to be very honest with you. There's no indication that MVS is lining everybody up. This isn't a green dot linebacker situation. So I would just be interested to see what information he has that is pointing directly to MVS lining people up in the right spot on every single play. So I don't really know what else to say besides that.
And hey, Maddie pays a lot of good attention to a lot of details. Maybe I'm just missing it. I don't see that myself. But yeah, I'd love to find out how he's zeroing in on that, because maybe I'm just missing it. But
yeah, me too. I'd like to see it.
Because he does have a good point. If that is the case, if they still need that much help on the field, then yes, that's a great question. They shouldn't need it. And so if that's what you have to do, that's A, it's ridiculous, but B, it makes more sense. Terry, Chris Jones wants Frank Clark back for the playoffs. You think they will grab him? I don't. No offense, it's not Chris's checkbook. Has to get that done. So, I mean,
I don't see it. I don't see it, guys.
I mean, let's be real. Frank got cut from 2 teams this season, and no offense, the Seahawks could probably still use a little pass rush. I think they're still mathematically in it. I think they're a wild card when I saw yesterday. I didn't see the late games though, so I don't know if maybe that changed. But and you're dropping. What happened?
JJ McCarthy just threw a hell of a pass, and Roman Wilson just climbed the ladder.
Little Roman Wilson. And a nice cut after it to get loose for the
He is a legit player.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and watch that, because honestly, I've been pretty unimpressed with JJ all season.
Yeah, it was probably hit. I mean, it was still up. he threw it high. Like it was too
Yeah.
high of a pass for him to throw. He's
Puck
been
accuracy.
over him. Yeah, whew, boy.
For
But
those
yeah,
of you watching, we can just Dan can run a play-by-play since he's got it in front of him. I have to look over my shoulder.
man, all right. Well, I think that was getting off point here. We're trying to get through some of these for you guys as well. And as much as I want Michigan to tie this football game, and that's why it was tipped. It was tipped. Oh my god. All right. So we'll keep going some questions here. Appreciate that one on Frank Clark.
Kevin, will Bucker make the Pro Bowl? He's been more consistent player on this team this season. I think so. Pro Bowl is always iffy because it's fan voted, so you got to get the exposure. But the Chiefs have been on national TV quite a bit. My expectation is that he would. Do the starters players sit this week? I would give them a half personally and try to keep any momentum they've found. Honestly, outside of the guys that need to hit for their bonuses, et cetera, I would probably give as many guys a rest as possible right now. I think the rest, knowing that you're not getting a first round bye, is way more important. So I would sit everyone I could.
Yeah. And again, that's why Travis Kelce, you're getting 16 yards or maybe more, and then you're not playing the rest of the game. He needs to rest.
Yeah. Werewolf, is it possible that MVS has a dropped pass bonus in his contract, and that's why he couldn't catch a ball? If he did, well done by his agent, because I never heard of such a thing.
Right? It's a hell of a job.
Nick, thanks for the support, brother. Appreciate you. Have you guys ever looked back at Snead's college tape and seen anything that shows his potential, the potential he's hit? So happy he's done great things. Yeah. I watched far too much of La Tech film that year. Again, if you haven't heard this story before, I was watching Amik Robertson, and LJ's just kept popping. But he was a safety back then. He was hard to find snaps where he would drop down into the nickel. He wasn't out on the boundary hardly at all his senior year. I had to go back 2 seasons in order to get that. But he has surpassed even the potential that we saw there. I don't know what you had pre-snap, pre-draft on him.
Yeah, I didn't get much on L'Jarius Sneed. I only got a little bit, and because he was coming out, he was a safety, right? Like I didn't get to the safeties that year. I was watching the corners, and that was still early on in my process of realizing that I was doing draft coverage. So I didn't get a ton of players. I didn't get to a ton of those guys. And Sneed, again, I got to see a little bit of him because I was watching Amik, and it's just different, man. He's a guy that the physicality, he's so soft-spoken, but this physicality that we're seeing, I don't necessarily think that we saw in the first couple of seasons, but they've really let him just be who he is and just get in the face of every number one wide receiver and say, I don't care what you do, man. I trust my short area quickness. I trust everything to be able to keep up with you. So it's really been awesome to watch.
Well, and that's specifically a fact. Oh, looks like they did something good. Okay. It's specifically a symptom of him lining up in space as a safety, whether free or box. He was rarely lined up on somebody. He didn't get the chance to press his last season at La Tech. Yeah. So a lot of people just didn't get that deep into the tape, and it was missed. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate you. Cody, Dan, what are your thoughts on Rasheed being the leading rookie wide receiver for Andy Reid?
So I appreciate this, Cody, for singling me out and asking, because I didn't expect it coming into the season, mostly because we had high expectations for the wide receiver room, and I expected him to be like the wide receiver 4, because that's how Andy Reid operates. And then we see the problems with all the wide receivers happening, the inconsistencies, and the step back. Everyone took a step back, every single person, which is not good. And then Rashee Rice comes in, and they're like, well, you've got this burst. Like we like the burst. We like to see the athleticism. And honestly, like Patrick liked him coming out too. He got to throw the ball to him a little bit in Texas. And when you get that connection early on before the draft process really even starts, drafting him, I should say, it's always a good thing to have. So they just started feeding the ball, and good things happening. Like that's how you know you have a good player. Again, Ryan and I both see it pretty much the same way. I don't think he's a 1. He's the 1 on this team, this specific team. But in the grand scheme, I think that he's a high-end 2. And that's a beautiful place to play. And right now, he looks like he's Sammy Watkins in this offense. That's what he looks like. Pretty much what he is now.
And I would have described Sammy Watkins the same way. I never thought Sammy was a true 1 either. So that's not to slight him in any way. Much like Nick Bolton and even George Karlaftis, like he's hitting his potential where I thought he could be at the end of his rookie season, rather than having to wait the whole offseason into his second campaign. So ahead of the sticks for him, he's playing from the front, and I like what he's doing. if you guys want any of the gear, whether it's the MVP or the Chiefs Nation, Rogue Nation over there on Dan's head, you can get it all here at the RGR store. The link is also in the description. You can just click on it there. Steve, what do you forecast for personnel changes on the offensive side next year? You go ahead, Dan. I'll fill in the blanks.
Yeah, MBS. See ya. Justin Watson probably should be also CU. He's been a fine player. He's fine. We need some upside in youth at the wide receiver position at this point. You can go Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. Hopefully you guys do something next year. Otherwise, you're going to be gone the year after. They're going to bring in some wide receivers. I'm thinking they're going to go after Mike Williams, or excuse me, Mike Evans, not Mike Williams. Mike Evans. I think you might look at him. Some of the veterans to bring into that room would be a good addition to their wide receiver room. Somebody who can teach them how to run routes in space, things like that. But they're also probably going to bring in some offensive line talent just to get some more guys in the room. You don't know what you're going to do with Wanya Morris. We don't really know what he's going to offer the entire time. So you want to be able to have guys there. You're going to bring in some running backs. This is going to look very different next year on the offensive side. You're also going to probably see another tight end. Blake Bell's not coming back next year. Absolutely not. Period. End of story. You're going to see quite a few people put into this offense. I mean, maybe Richie James comes back, maybe he doesn't. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very different. Cut and dry.
I echo all that. You're going to see another running back or two. I do think Jarek will still stay around unless this injury turns out to be significant. I think he's been used rather sparingly, and I think that's worked. It'll be Pacheco and Mick, and there'll be two new bodies. I guarantee it, because I don't think Piran or Prince has done enough to elevate themselves yet. We'll see. The wide receivers, the tackles. I would not be surprised if Allegretti, I think he's on a 1 year. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a call up from someone else where he can make a little bit more money. You might have to get a backup interior guy as well. So plenty to go on there. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Steve.
Let's see. Ozzy, the Chiefs were less aggressive on 3rd and 4th down yesterday. And with how the D was playing and settled on the field goal, do you think they can flip the switch in the playoffs? I see where you're coming from, but I will say this. I thought they used what they did well. Specifically in the short yardage, specifically with Pacheco motioning in and getting that gotta have it down. So you can still call that conservative, but that had to happen. And I think that is a springboard. And I do think that they'll be able to be, in terms of the play call, that they can flip that switch anytime they want to. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. And also taking advantage of throwing the ball to the flat shows defenses that they're willing to throw the ball to the flat. And you might be able to get some overreaction to that, and you can scheme that in. You can scheme a flat and a corner route behind it. You can use it to your advantage and put it on tape that you are willing to throw those flat routes. And sometimes you'll see defenses play off, and you can still get the first down. So it's kind of a growth prospect for Patrick in this kind of sense, where you have to put it on film that you're going to still throw it to the flat, or defenses won't respect it, and it'll be even more difficult to throw the ball behind those players.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to. Quentin, thanks, buddy. Over 2 years in the memberships. Appreciate you. What do you think of the people that say Pat should have led MBS more on the slant drop? Also, do you think that Chase got humbled? I don't know about the second part. Snead is not getting the credit he earned. That part I completely agree with. It's very hard to humble Jamar Chase. I don't see that ever happening, because the guy's ego is about the size of Gibraltar, but that's okay. In terms of leading MVS more, is that I thought that was a crosser. I didn't see that as a slant, the one that was thrown behind him. I mean, yes, it could have been right on his numbers, but as we said last night, that was not a difficult catch. That's a catch that he should make every single time. That is a basic catch.
It's also because, I apologize. I'm not trying to do that. I was trying to start that question. My apologies.
Gotcha. No worries.
Quentin, sorry, my guy. So the throw itself should have been out in front, but he got hit at the same time. Like, he was getting hit as he was throwing the football. He's trying to make a throw to MBS, he's trying to make a throw to MBS and at the same time not get hit. So when you're doing that, getting the ball on the receiver is all you're being asked to do as a quarterback. And the nerve, I'm still mad about this, the nerve to try to correct the quarterback who's getting hit and who's giving you the ball in your hands, and you can't even, like I said, you can't even catch it.
Yeah, you'll get no argument from me.
And yeah, Chase can't get humbled after that. He's still talking after the game.
Yeah, this is something that we've talked about. Patrick hasn't been as accurate this season as he has in years past, but that was a catchable ball. And that's something here you should be able to turn and do every single time. They run that drill every damn day. It should not be a question mark. So thank you, Quinn. Appreciate you bringing that up as always. Tyler, which of the 3 middle wide receivers in the draft is the best fit for us? I'm not sure what middle 3 means, but I have it Adunze, Neighbors, Coleman in that order.
I think that's what he's talking about, like the guys that are after Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that that's probably what he's alluding to, and those 3 guys are right there. Right now, Brian Thomas Jr. is getting a ton of steam. Tons of steam. Nate Tice has him being taken 10th in the draft, which is absurd, by the way. It's nuts. I love Nate. I respect Nate so much. That is an insane take. It's insane. He's not getting drafted that high. He's not that good. But he could be good. Like, I just don't see that. But I have it. I have a 2A and a 2B, with a Dunze being 2A and Neighbors being 2B, and then it's Coleman after that. Like, I don't. They're so close.
And I got to tell you, I'm not sure Coleman is 4 overall. I'm not saying that it's Marvin, Adunze, Neighbors, Coleman is 4. Coleman's below both of those guys, but he might be 5. He might end up 6 for me. I think people are criminally underrating Xavier Worthy right now, and that kind of stuff, it kills. It kills.
I like Worthy a lot. I'm not. Coleman is firmly 4 for me. Like, it's pretty. Okay. It's for me. It's pretty cut and dry. I've seen a lot of, you guys know I like Franklin a lot. He and Worthy offer a lot of the same things and have a lot of the same issues with their physique, and can get physically outmanned at times. And I see Coleman being able to be a little bit more physical and have still the foot quickness to get open. So he reminds me a little bit of Drake London, in the sense that he's a big guy, good footwork, he runs good routes, and I'm pretty confident he can translate that to the NFL. But I understand liking Xavier Worthy because he can run routes, man. He can run routes. He can run some routes.
And don't worry, Dan is the lead on all the wide receiver work this year for the draft guide, for NFL 33, for all of it. You guys will see plenty of it here, and we will get to it when the time is appropriate. Thank you, Tyler. Kev, thank you for the support, buddy. I had a hot take a while ago that she might get 1,000 yards, and I'm hyped that it might happen. And good for you. I think we put the over-under at 850, and I think I took the under because I thought that would be about the ceiling. No offense, I expected one of the veterans to show up and actually do something. So maybe I was short-sighted there, but I'm pleased that he's in that position as well. Does it surprise you at all?
It does. Like, it surprises me that he's this at this point. No, but like from earlier in the season, trying to figure out what was going to happen with all of these things, it does surprise me a little bit from there, because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know what we were going to see. But we were seeing that he's a really good player, and he's developing, which is not something we've seen a ton of in this offense. We've not seen a ton of young youthful wide receivers come in and develop, and we're seeing that. He just did his route on the deep ball. That's all fantastic stuff, things that we don't see a lot of. So yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad that you called it, Kev. It's just I really didn't have very many high hopes for it because we haven't seen it before.
Right. Okay, we are going to overtime in college football. We're going to wrap it up with the last. I'm going to go quick until Jacob's super chat. Kev, thank you for the support, buddy. Chiefs again. Why is the media saying that they could go home in the first round? Because honestly, they haven't played convincingly very well lately. They need to be proven wrong, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Oregon, watch the NFL films replay of the Super Bowl last year. Only difference is that all the wide receivers caught the balls they are dropping and less turnovers. Rasheed just replaced Juju's numbers. I mean, in his role and his physicality, I think he has a little bit better acceleration and a little bit less knowledge of where to be. But yeah, I mean, in terms of role, that's what he should be doing.
Yeah, and I'll disagree that it's the only difference. When you look on paper, yeah, that's the only difference. But we've seen every wide receiver take steps back, and not knowing where they're supposed to be on the field when more has been put on their shoulders. They have not been held to the same standard that they were last year in terms of their own play on the field. So they've all taken steps back, and the offensive line and the run game was inconsistent most of the season. We're seeing some games now where they're getting back to it a little bit, but it's still very up and down. So the run game last year was a huge reason they won the Super Bowl, especially down the stretch and in the postseason. And they might get back to that right now, which would be very, very nice to see happen.
Yeah. Thanks, Gomez, and I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
From your jersey, I kind of expect that the Chiefs can make the AFC Championship. We'll be talking to you again. So cheers, buddy. Jacob, do you think that they move the money in Mahomes' contract next year to sign Jones and Snead along with a big free agent wide receiver? You cannot get all three of those things done, even if you take the 24, I believe, will be available from Patrick's contract. I don't think you can get that done money-wise. Right now, they're projected to have I think it's 18 free. Even if you did that, I don't think you can get both Jones and Snead under contract for that. So I don't think so, bud. 2 of the 3, maybe. All 3, I can't see happen.
No, I think we're going to be seeing not just the restructure of Mahomes' contract, but a new contract. I think that his contract is going to be reworked very soon. If not this offseason, it'll be reworked next year. It's coming up on some of those $50 million hits and more. And I think that Patrick Mahomes and the rest of the higher ups after seeing this season might want a little bit more wiggle room to be able to make things happen if they can. And I also believe that it's going to be L'Jarius Sneed and a tag and trade of Chris Jones, which will allow you to then bring in maybe a free agent wide receiver like a Mike Evans, or even if you want to go after T. Higgins and try and make that happen. I don't know necessarily that he and Rashee Rice mesh personally. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a crisp, fast route runner opposite of Rashee Rice. That's what I'm looking for. There's quite a few guys that are good. Like, again, we're going to find out some things, but that's what I think is going to happen myself. There's a lot to happen between now and just the draft. And I've seen Chiefs fans very adamant that there's zero chance that they don't take a wide receiver in the first round. Free agency hasn't even happened yet, guys. That's kind of hold the absolutes until the season's over and you have a little bit more information on what the picture looks like next year. So many things can be in flux.
And I got to say, maybe it's just flowery language, but I wonder if T. Higgins isn't interested in playing for somebody that just beat his team.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, yes, again, it's about money, but you never know.
He plays in Cincinnati. It's not like he's going from a huge market. I mean, so these big market teams aren't exactly going to be able to pull him away because it's a big market. They might be able to. Again, I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to see him in Kansas City. I won't lie. It'd be nice. I like T. Higgins.
Yeah. Matthew Lee, just before I pull this up, Mahomes' contract is made to restructure every single year. It is a bonus structure that they can steal from in order to make cap space. That's how it's built.
Thank you.
Isaac, is it just me or has Travis looked out of shape this year? Maybe his age is finally catching up with him. He definitely looks slower, but I won't call it out of shape. I think it is certainly a symptom of his knee. That's all I got at this point.
Yep.
Is he a little older? Sure. It's about all it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's he's just been hurt. He's been hurt more this season than he ever has before, and it's clearly impacting his ability to make huge plays on the field. Nice 8-yard run from Blake Corum right there in overtime. But yeah, I'm not worried about his shape at all.
Not that we're not paying attention or anything like that. I mean,
I finished my thought. I made sure that I kept you guys informed.
Well done. Yeah. What he's trying to say is I need to finish mine. Quentin, thank you for gifting another membership. Appreciate you. A lot of the current members have been gifting a lot. If you enjoy it, get into the memberships. You can get the Discord. You can get all the extra videos. You can get all the notes. Just join at the rookie level above. If you get a gifted membership, you'll get in at the bottom level at the draft pick. And Michigan just takes the lead. They still get an opportunity in Alabama, right? I haven't been watching, so you tell me.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Boy,
Old Michigan here is pretty pumped.
What a run!
Papa Harms is pretty pumped too. Hey, so Quentin, thank you for widening Rogue Nation. Appreciate you. Casey Forever, are you sold on T. Higgins? I am not sure on the injuries. That's fair. It was a question mark whether he was going to play. He didn't play a ton yesterday. He looks like a pretty even-keeled dude. He was kind of chuckling when Jamar Chase was talking all his shit. I don't see him like that. I liked him coming out. I'll say that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, he was the
All right.
33rd pick in the draft, right? Like, it's not like he was a guy that just was forgotten about in the second round or third round. No, he was a high draft pick. He's a good player. He's a very good player, and he's soft spoken. I think he was just laughing because he was like, Jamar, you're fooling, man. Like, what are you doing? I think that's what he was laughing about. I don't think he was laughing about what was exactly. He's like, dude, you're just continuing to put yourself in a hole. You got beat, accept it. And T was just like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I agree. Folks, that's it for the super chats. We've covered most of the topics in the questions. So the last thing about receivers, who you think they'll bring back or who they think should get. Thank you, Bumpa. We've talked about Troy Franklin. I am a fan of both the Washington receivers. I think Polk will be available at 31 if they can't move out. I think you have to go get a Dunze. I think there are other guys. I like Worthy. I don't think Worthy's a Tyreek Hill, but he gives you the top end and the ability to run under balls, which is a lot of what Patrick's missing right now. And I do like that aspect of his game. And Avery agrees with me. She's smiling like she can't stop.
She's having a great time, guys. She's just having a fantastic time.
All right, let's go let Dan watch the rest of this ball game. You all have a great night. We'll be back with you later in the week. A live game plan on Friday to get ready for those Chargers. You all have a great one and Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next time.